Hi all, my name's Ernie. I'm doing this video to help people who are doing their logs for registration for certified podorthics. So my role really is I'm a bit of a liaison person between the Podorthic Association and the APRB. And if we look at the two distinct roles that these groups have, the APRB, well, they're really the manager of certified podorthists in Australia. So each year, certified podorthists are supposed to maintain their professional development requirements, as well as provide a work log. We'll go into what that means in a moment. But the PAA is the membership body for podorthists in Australia. So anyone can reasonably apply for membership to the Podorthic Association. And if you are someone in the field doing this, then you would get great benefits from becoming a member of the Podorthic Association. But clearly, to become a registered podorthist, you need to maintain your certification, and that is through the Australian Podorthist Registration Board. So I'm sitting here in my little home office, going through a few things here to do with how to fill in this first video, how to complete your work log for the last 12 months. Now, I can show you what how the form works, the fillable template. I can show you how that works and what sort of information you should be putting in there. But I can't really tell you what cases would be what you should provide. So that is something that you will need to do with regards to your registration and what level you're going for as to what type of cases you put in there. So that's just a bit of a disclaimer, is that this is not an instructional video on how to pass. It really is just an instructional video on what you might look at doing within the form itself to provide the APRB auditors with enough information that they need so that they can pass you. Okay, so let's have a look at what I'm going to talk about. The work log. According to the criteria, podorthists must demonstrate two things really each year. That A, that they've continued to be professionally active as a podorthist in the field of podorthics, and in other words, I guess that they haven't started a new career or stopped being active in a way related to podorthics. The second thing is that the podorthist must demonstrate within the rules and guidelines and the expected format that she or he has been developing their learning, their professionalism, and their formal education in the last 12 months. Now, this comes from the criteria. The criteria states that this is what is required to be recertified. So I'm going to share my screen, see if we can get the technology going, share my screen and get the document up. Here we are, this is what it looks like. And so this first video will just be going through the work log. So the work log is the one that demonstrates that you've been professionally active in the last 12 months. So this first page is fairly self-explanatory. We have a date, click to enter. And we have a click to enter my first name and another one to enter my second name. You should be able to put your registration number in here, and that will be on your certificate, of course, from last year. And we now make you tick what category you're going to. So some of the earlier versions of this form would not have had that piece of information needed. So if you haven't started your logs and you've downloaded one in the last, or probably 2 weeks ago, I think, download the latest version and this will be there for you. Just a couple of tips. So in the work log and even in the CPD log, you might be prompted to upload photos or perhaps an image of a certificate. So when you do that, this tip down here is a good idea to just reduce the overall file size or the resolution of your image before you put it into the document. You can sort of do it when it goes in the document, but usually when the image goes in, if it's too large, if it's too many megapixels, it just fills out too much, and then you've got to try and shrink it. So try and get the resolution of your images down before you put it in. If you're using a camera, you can use a low resolution photo. Or if you're using an iPad or as such, you can also change that resolution of what your image has been saved as. So the other thing is in Word is that once you've got all your pictures in there, and if the file is looking huge, so we can, I'm not sure, let me think of where this is, but somewhere in here, it'll be in the images. I'll just get rid of that. Let's see if it comes up here with picture format. No, it's going to beat me here because I just can't off the top of my head remember how to how to compress images. But if you type in here compress images, we might you should be able to do that. Okay, jumped right out of it. That's not helpful. Okay. That might come to me before we finish this document. So the first page, easy, just some details. And now we've got page 2, which starts the list. You can see with my nice little pink arrow here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines to do cases. Now, you might find that there's a clause in the criteria that says that you need to do 5 commission cases completed in the previous audited year, or you can do 10 commission cases completed during the previous 2 audited years. So I assume that the criteria has that in case you have a year where you actually aren't active or active enough to come up with 5 cases, and therefore you will use 10 cases from the previous audited year or the previous audited 2 years. In other words, if you're not active in the last year, then you can still just provide cases that will mean that your registration will continue. Of course, in the next 12 months, you couldn't do that because you wouldn't have had 10 cases from this previous year. Okay, that being said, most people are going to fill in 1, and I've got a little demonstration here where I've used a fictitious file. This is my client database, and I'm using my daughter here, Emily Ty, and we've got some a record here of what shoes she's had done, assistive technology work, as you see, and we click on this one here. We go to our media, we can see that we've got a couple of photos in there. Now, this is purely fictitious. These are not Emily's feet, and they're not the boots that Emily wears. And in fact, those boots don't even fit those feet. But we're going to go back to the form and just see how we might do this. So for me, being a custom maker, I'm going to say that this work was done 1st of March, whenever it was. It's case number 1. A brief description of case pathology. So in this, we're just, it is just a case of putting in a brief description. So let's say Charcot Marie tooth deformities. And this should come from your notes that you've done your assessment from. Just some of the areas of the pathology that are relevant to this case. And so that clearly is going to say to the auditors, well, this person had Charcot-Marie tooth-related deformities, a neuropathic feet, and a loss of range of motion. You could put more information there, that's fine, and maybe that is possibly a little bit too brief, but for the exercise, we'll leave it at that. A brief description of treatment and outcome. So in here, they would be looking for, we made custom-made medical grade boots with inbuilt orthoses and separate ankle bracing for lateral instability. Okay. That's the description of the treatment, the outcome, footwear fitted well and functioned completely to the clinical and client needs. Probably word that better, but that's what I'll leave there. Okay, so not a story. We're not looking for heaps of information. Don't copy and paste all your clinical data out of your file into that column. So it says brief for a reason. They only want brief information. Briefly describe my role. Excuse me. Briefly describe my role. So I assessed and casted the client for the custom-made boots, correcting the alignment was the aim. I performed the plastic diagnostic fitting, sorry for my slow typing, and also performed the dispensement and the follow-up reviews. Okay, there we go. So now if you did in-shoe pressure mapping, you'd probably put that in as part of the treatment and the outcome. And if you actually were the one that did the in-shoe pressure mapping, you'd put that in that column. Level of work required for this was, it was a higher level, so it was a custom maker level. And here we go. Now this year, because no one's been taking photos leading up to this, so be warned. So now this year, this coming year, you need to make sure you keep 5 cases and get five photos, 5 sets of photos of 5 different clients where you've got a below knee barefooted image showing clearly the pathology. So we've got, if I click on here, I'm going to, from a file, I'm going to go to that saved photo I have on the desktop, and let's put that one in. These are already 640 by 480 resolution photos. So although we can't show in a photo that this fellow is neuropathic and we can't show that he's lost his range of motion, we can show you that there are some deformities there. No need to, people might check me on that, but that is certainly not a CMT foot. But that's, I'm just using that as a demonstration. Okay, so then we've had the second photo from a file. If you've already got it saved on your desktop like I have, it's nice and easy. There it is there. If you've got it on your phone, that might be a little tricky. What you probably need to do is to save it into, or email it to yourself and then save it onto your computer so that you can then upload it into there. Just be, once again, be aware of the resolution. So cameras can take some amazing photos these days, but not all useful, not all going to be useful for here. Sometimes you can take a photo of your computer screen as well. So if you've got a photo of something you've done, you can always use a photo from your phone to get it. Okay, so for instance, let's try number 2, and let's say we're doing a DVA client, something that's in the retail level. So 31st of the 1st, this is the column for a brief description. So osteoarthritic deformities. This column here will be the brief description of the treatment and outcome. Fitted with extra depth footwear. This here will be, where did we get there? We're going to briefly describe our role. Feet were assessed and measured by myself and fitted with the client's orthotics provided by a podiatrist. Okay, so that tells you my involvement. And to choose an item here, that would be retail level 1. Unfortunately, we can't get those headings to roll through with us, roll through with each one. So yeah, plenty of spelling mistakes, of course, from me. Ooh. Not that I'm not going to worry about too much about spelling mistakes. There's probably a few more there. We didn't really, maybe we need to put a bit more here. So brief description of treatment and outcome. So we've got the treatment there. Client was happy with the footwear. The podiatrist provided a acquittal at his next. So then, I don't, and in my practice, I don't have too many photos of these retail type feet that come through that don't have too many deformities. Usually tend to take photos of feet that have major deformities. So this year, I will be intent on making sure I get photos of 1 or 2 retail cases that I've been involved in, because the APRB want to know that simply that you've been active in your field of registration, and want to know that you've continued to be. So the type of cases doesn't really matter. The criteria doesn't say you have to provide, a case from each of the 3 levels. It doesn't say you have to provide only cases from your level. But what if you gave a variety, if you're involved in a variety and gave a variety, then that would demonstrate that you are also involved in a variety of podorthic work. That doesn't matter. It's not crucial, but certainly every registration board that is in operation going forward will have people there that will audit you, and they may have different opinions and different interpretations of what they want to see in these caseloads to demonstrate that you're simply active. One last point. These are not the same cases. These are not expected to be the same cases that you would provide when you got registered. So when you were registered and you sat before a panel, you had everything there. You had a whole lot of information. This is not no one is going to question what you provided. So if this one came through and an auditor says, well, I wouldn't have provided boots for this bloke. I would have made sure that I had a soft neoprene upper across the front. And so that's not their role. in their role within this case, these case presentations, is to see that you're still active. They're not going to judge you on it. They're not going to share any of this information outside the APRB. This is purely to demonstrate to them that you have done 5 cases in the last 12 months and you've been involved with it. Okay, well look, that's about it for this video. I intend to take a break and record another video here to do with CPD logs. So stay tuned, and if you've seen this one and you've enjoyed it, that's fine. If anyone needs help doing this, physical help, doing their logs, I'm more than happy to help them. It might mean that we connect online and we do the form between us online, and I can help with some of the stuff there, or just help you get started on it. That's no problem at all. Please feel free to email me through the PAA or through the APRB. They both can let me know. Okay, thanks very much. Good luck with that, and we'll catch you soon. Bye.